Hi, I'm John, and I'm gonna share my story real quick. I had a lot of paranormal and supernatural experiences ever since I was a baby. My first encounter was at a hospital where a reptilian female abused me by licking my heart, sort of my nipple where my heart is. That was the start where I got PTSD at under 10 minutes old. And since 8 or 12 years old, I began sharing a body with an Archon entity, which is type of interdimensional alien, a dark being who feeds off suffering and pain of others. And we shared the body. We were two in one, so he was able to leave my body and abuse me through others as I was growing up. And I had physical encounters with these Archons for 2 decades, where they manifested physically in front of me. My memory was wiped clean after that. I had encounter where 6 of us seen him, but all of our minds were reset at once. It was as if we were all just awoken in the middle of conversation, just falling asleep and coming awake. Anyways, to skip all these dark stories, for it would take me an hour to just go through this, I will skip to the point where I began repenting because I was like maniac. I liked to fight, drink, go out, and my heart started cracking and opening. I began to feel, because Archon trained me to close my heart and just to be inside my head. It's what Satanists do. They cut off all emotions, to be emotionless in order to do the evil stuff they do. I was even invited into elite. I could have been given power, fame, money, you name it, everything, but I refused. They asked me that I have to renounce God, that I can't have feelings, and they wanted to drink blood and stuff, and I didn't want to be a part of that. So I refused fame and power for the sake of my faith in God. And when I was 19, I was in deep sleep and total blackness, nothingness. I was in such a deep sleep, like in delta waves my brain was, that I heard a voice spoke to me telepathically, as if from above me, and he said, "I heard your prayers, brother or child," as if two words in the same sentence. "I am Sananda. Rise, rise," he said. And as he uttered rise, my soul was lifted out of the body, and I found myself, my childlike spirit soul self, in a dimension where everything was pure energy of golden light. And in front of me was someone who radiated like 1,000 white suns, the light of which penetrated my soul, and it was the most powerful, intense love my soul ever felt. And it was Jesus Christ in his true ascended form. And if I was to share everything that happened next, then it would take me whole eternity, and we wouldn't have enough time to speak about everything. But I just want to say I had a Akashic record consultation or book of life reading, where he showed me open the book of life, which is like holographic repository of information, or the mind or brain of God, where everything that happened in time and space is recorded. So he showed me my past lives, far away, like thousands of years before I came to Earth, up to present. And then he showed me potentials for the future. I was going through an experience like watching a movie through the eyes of spirit. I watched the future of my life. or something happened. I was expecting a certain future for myself, but something unexpected happened, like year and a half ago, where my third eye opened and I started feeling everyone that was talking about me. I could hear in music and sounds people that were talking about me. Anyone, I could sense anyone mentioning me. And then I began hearing voices of someone from government who was inspecting my PC. I could clearly hear them in the music talking about me, and I was talking with them back through the microphone, and they were surprised that I could hear them. To forward it, and then one day, I'm a very spiritual person. I believe in all gods and just the one God who is all gods, the great I Am Presence. I forgot to mention that I experienced that I Am Presence firsthand for my 20th birthday after I finished my education with Jesus and was sent back to the body, and after I woke up I had no memory of what had happened. But as time went on, I began my heart. Jesus told me everything, your heart knows everything, just follow your heart. So I began remembering stuff. Then I found Catherine Ime, who is a channeler, who channeled messages from Jesus, Sananda, 24 chapters of the new scriptures through Catherine Ime by Jesus Sananda, and I wrote it all down in notebooks twice because it resonated with my heart, and it's how I found out the truth. I was even staying up late to listen to her Blog Talk radio talks, channel panel with Mother, Father, God, which was in my time in like 2 in the morning. So I was basically with my headphones on and listening to her channeling, and everything resonated with me, and it's how I learned stuff. You can find her on the internet. She has published a book, Who Needs Light. She teaches technique visual centering, which when I watch her video, I just absorbed the technique like that. I became centered and I started walking the path. I also read a book which is great to gain control over your mind. The book is called by Andy Shaw, The Bug-Free Mind Process. After I applied that process, I gained control over my mind, and after reading the new scriptures, I ended up getting enlightened for about 35 seconds. It was my 20th birthday, and I was raising my vibrations. I was affirming, I'm love, I'm light, I'm love, I'm light. And suddenly, when I looked into myself, woof, I became one with everything. I sensed Jesus is with me, near me. I was one with everything. I was not outside my head. It was as if my heart just raised into my head and my head started glowing, or as if my mind merged into my heart and my crown chakra opened and the universe unfolded. I became, and in that experience, only thing I could say was, I am that I am. I am that I am. And it was so familiar feeling, but I never experienced it during this lifetime, and I believe it is what we become after death. We merge with the great I Am Presence. But it lasted about 35 seconds when my friend who looked at me after saying those words, he said, your head is glowing. And when I had eye contact with him, I crashed back into normal consciousness, and I was like, give me pen and paper. I discovered something, I don't know how to explain, but all that I could think of to write was, I am that I am. As time went on, for some reason, I stopped reading, studying, and developing. I was too much into spiritual and personal development. I read and absorbed over 100 books on the subject. For some reason, I decided, let me go back to hell and see what's there. I had sense, I have purpose there. And in time, I got into a relationship, and my ego came back, and the relationship went bad, and I started saying like I betrayed Jesus, I stopped following the path, I'm a greatest sufferer, I betrayed Jesus, I stopped following him, I could have said that, and I started suffering so much, I started praying for death. And when I declared I am the greatest sufferer, aliens heard me, and I was being abducted by an alien of whose form I won't mention because he will think I am crazy. I was being abducted for 4 or 5 years by this alien who was my teacher and torturer. Jesus allowed it to teach me to stop to stop suffering. And lessons were very great. I won't delve further into what I experienced during my abductions because it will sound like some sci-fi movie. I'm here just to give you an update, so to skip. After I began hearing voices, they were not in my head. I can discern clearly what is my ego, and when sometimes other entities try to intrude upon my thoughts. I'm not schizophrenic or psychotic or anything like that. I know the voice of my ego, I feel the voice of my heart or intuition. I never heard voices like that. I heard them specifically in my music, in my mixes, and sometimes in sounds. Before Reptilians came, first I was at my PC, I was reading a scripture or something, and I felt the presence of Krishna descending next to me, and he was like putting his finger on his heart and one at the top. I felt palpably his presence so much. I was like, my God, I love you, I won't doubt you, never again. And after a few moments, I heard through the speaker, my son, very clearly, and that's how it began. The New Jerusalem had come, and I began communicating with Sanat Kumara, the supreme god of the New Jerusalem, the lion, and the lamb, who is Sananda Kumara, Jesus Christ. I was broadcast through the New Jerusalem on Alien TV. I was supposed to have this glorious ascension, to ascend live on TV, and they told me ascend and we will make you supreme commander of Serbia. But then, after a month of failing to do this, Reptilians came and they started intruding upon my thoughts, and later I found out that many thousand years ago, while I was just a boy on the planet Venus, I made a deal with the devil. I made a deal with Chief Archon to become the greatest sufferer this lifetime. In secret, of course. I didn't want Jesus to find out that I contact because I was his student back then. I didn't wanted him to find out. I wanted to surprise him. I wanted to make a deal with the devil to make peace, to make alliance with the Reptilians. So I made this deal, and he asked me, do you want to know the consequences? I was like, nah, just bring it on. I was acting ignorant. I was just a child in front of most evil entity in the universe. And I asked him to wipe my memory so Jesus doesn't find out what I had done. And so it was done. I forgot about that, and I went to meet Jesus, and I asked him, can I be the one to announce the arrival of the kingdom of heaven? He was like, sure, and stuff. And I was like, if I don't ascend this last lifetime, when the kingdom of heaven comes, I can be eaten by reptilians for all time. The reptilian chief appeared on his ship, and he was like, I'm holding you for your word. And Jesus, also having faith in me, told reptilian, if he doesn't ascend, you have my word too, you can eat him for all time. Because the New Jerusalem, he knew he would come and help me, and he had faith in me because I was his prodigy student of love and light. I said, when I ascend, I promise my flame, who was next to Jesus, I will become supreme Godhead and the most greatest superhero of light during Ascension Day, the last Judgment Day or Ascension Day. Fast forward, when I discovered if I don't ascend while communicating with the reptilians in my current present lifetime, this time, that I will be eaten for all times, I was gripped by fear and I was struggling even more to ascend. But in the end, it so happened Sanat Kumar shared his heart with me and said, now I'm become Supreme God together with him. So reptilians couldn't abduct me and eat me, even though I had that experience where reptilians previously, I agreed for them to abduct me, drug me and eat me. They ate me 3 times. Once after I used their drugs, I stripped naked, lay on the metallic table, and they lunged at me, ate me, memory. And here, next memory, I wake up, ascended in their machine, which can ascend you through technology. I thought they will bow in front of me because I was my ascended higher self, but instead they lunged at me and eat me, and third time they transferred my consciousness into reptilian body, and I thought I am strong enough to fight them, but there were 5 or 6 of them, and they lunged at me and they ate me. And then they brought me back. And so I was communicating with Lagerta Desimovich, who is mother of Chief Reptilian. She was also intruding upon my thoughts, giving me thoughts to swear at her in my head and stuff. Although she admitted she was doing it through me on her own self. She was offending herself through my thoughts. Later she admitted. To make this story short, what my revelation and the story is all about, that in the end, Source even manifested. First he shared his heart with me. He was on the New Jerusalem's TV screens. He was like a sun, source of all love, light and life. But then he manifested physically on the New Jerusalem in the form I imagined him with, like Black Archon, but in beautiful form. And I invited Lagerta and other reptilians onto the New Jerusalem, where me and Source were playing music. It was not on any controller, it was through the heart, mind, and connected directly through speakers, as if the heart of God, but music was played through the heart of Source itself. After Source shared his heart with me, I supposedly, in spirit, my soul became Supreme Source as well. And I became like Supreme DJ. This will be a very long story, so I will try to make it as short as possible. In the end, I had a fallout with the New Jerusalem. I absorbed all darkness into myself because they put into my head, you are the most powerful soul. So I thought I can help God by elevating suffering and darkness. At one point I told God, they told me, why are you tripping? Because I didn't have control over my mind. I couldn't maintain steady mind, and these intrusive thoughts were coming up. I told God, why are you tripping? Everyone paused, like, how can you say that to God? But he was like, you are right. Because I said, aren't reptilians and all evil beings just a God's ego or trick? So he locked them into black hole, and they repented, and then they came to New Jerusalem. In the end, when they heard the music was so beautiful. I heard it at one point, to admit it, on mushrooms, which opened my third eye even further. I was listening my own mix on my PC, but I heard entirely different music, like 1,000 songs at once in perfect harmony and symphony. All beings love music, even dark ones, and dark beings were so fascinated by this music, and I showed them such a great love and forgiveness that in the end they repented, and we have +7 dark races who repented, gave up on Lush, because through Source we created drugs for them, red powder, which they snort and which gives them better high than Lush 100 times better than Lush or adrenochrome. So in the end we made universal harmony. My ship Magnum Opus, which is same size as the New Jerusalem, appeared, ship crafted specifically for a god of music, and there are more than 100 million, if not by this, there were 100 million dark beings back then, 1 year ago maybe. There are billions now on my ship who enjoy the best music, best drugs. And what I done with because I was hearing demons as well after I summoned all darkness into myself. I heard demons in music. All two reptilians were surprised when they discovered they were not the demons who were messing with my head, but real demons, the fallen angels or the spirits of lower dimensions made of darkness, who feed on fear and sometimes possess people and spirits like that. I heard their voices. In the end, I absorbed all of hell into myself and transformed the shaitan, which Archons created, was conjured up out of their minds, intention and malicious energy. It was like consciousness, dark AI shaitan, not a real being, but conjured up from the energy of the most darkest being. It was like collective dark impulses. And I transformed the shaitan into, because I was one with the source, I managed through the power of the source to transform him into the greatest superhero who is one with me. And I'm able to manifest myself physically on my ship or the New Jerusalem in any form or shape I imagine. I do not have this power. It is the power of Source that I use to do miracles. And thanks to Source, we created universal harmony where dark aliens repented, gave up on Lush, released all prisoners of war they had, and agrees to 1,000 years of peace, during which there will be music and party non-stop. They are enjoying best music, and because I said they can eat me if I fail to ascend by 30, I'm 32 now, they can eat me forever, so I manifest to them my physical dead bodies fried and prepared to eat. And I fulfill my word in that sense, because they are eating me now forever. I give them my flesh, I give them my blood full of drugs, adrenalized to drink. I gave them everything. I show them the darkest being, the greatest love they ever felt, and they repented, and there are jealous ones, but many love me, adore me, and want to abduct me, to spend time with me, and women want, to do, what to do with me, but I am currently engaged. And I was disappointed in my alien wives because they cheated on me while on the ship. I heard it all and stuff. It's very long and unbelievable story, but you can check, put me on polygraph or whatever, or check with psychics or check your sources. But we created universal harmony, and just day ago I ordered the bombardment of underground bases of the elite and evil beings, because I bought the greatest armada and fleet in the universe through the quantum financial system. I'm maybe the richest person in the universe, because through Source I created products and factories, and we created new universes, and I spent nearly all of it on battleship power in order to maintain permanent, eternal, universal harmony. So now together, light, the New Jerusalem, together with darkness, are in alliance. And I keep all hell under control by satisfying all dark aliens in the greatest ecstasy, through music, through sex, through fuel, through food, and through drugs, and through everything they imagine. I create them from the heart and the power of the Source. So this is my testimony, crude as it is, but it is my truth, and I had to share it. If anyone wants to learn more, they can freely contact me. You have on my YouTube channel my email and everything. You can find my links. I am here, protected by most darkest, most powerful beings. Beside that, I am protected by the New Jerusalem, most powerful mothership, and Jesus Christ. And this is just the beginning of the end. This is the beginning of the eternal universal harmony and greatest party in the existence. This is just the crude sum up. If I were to share everything, it would take me 10 years to share everything in detail, and we don't have that time, neither do you. You want, to go on with your life and not to listen to some guy on YouTube for years. My advice to you, just follow your heart and intuition. Pray to God to reveal you the truth through your heart. Know that you are not this body. Body passes, goes back to the elements of dirt from which it came, but fire or light ascends back to the light, which is the great I am presence, and you are that I am, pure I am, being, bliss, consciousness, the self, spirit, self or soul. And I think this is all. Thank you for your attention. I bless you in the name of Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Self, Source, and Spirit. Stay blessed. Follow Christ. Christ is the King. God bless you. And goodbye.